Welcome to the Manager Lab, where we delve into the increasingly dynamic world of talent management. In each episode, we will unravel key insights, break down the most relevant books and articles, and provide actionable tips to optimize your approach in developing and retaining top talent. Stay tuned for a deep dive into the art, science, and strategy of unlocking your team's full potential. Let's enter the Manager Lab. Welcome back. Today we're going to be diving into the 5 a.m. Club, a book by Robin Sharma, a book that's inspired millions of people to wake up early and take charge of their lives. Now, I read this book a few years ago. My wife and I were on a cruise, and typically on vacations, I'll take 3 or 4 books because I'll never know which book is going to inspire me at the time, so I don't want to be limited, so I'll take 3 or 4. Well, I started reading the 5 a.m. Club, and I don't think I picked up another book the whole time I was on vacation because it really kind of pulled me in very much. I almost read the entire book on the vacation. I came back, finished it up shortly after, and I have been living the 5 a.m. Club ever since then. And it really has made a powerful impact on my life. His message, the author's message, is simple, but a powerful one. Own your morning, elevate your life. I'll repeat that. Own, O-W-N, own your morning, elevate your life. And this happens. This is true. And so this episode today, we're going to take you through the key lessons of the book, the quotes, the actionable practices, chapter by chapter, so you can decide if the 5 a.m. habit could transform your life as well. Chapters 1 and 2 are called The Spellbinder and The Billionaire. The book begins, like a lot of books these days, as kind of a parable, a fable, if you will. A burned-out entrepreneur and a struggling artist attend a seminar led by a speaker called the Spellbinder. His message? Extraordinary success doesn't come from luck or talent. It comes from daily discipline and a consistent self-mastery habit. After the seminar, they meet a quirky billionaire who lives by a very radical philosophy. Wake up at 5 a.m., and use the first hour of the day to strengthen your body, mind, and soul. He tells them this: at first, all change is hard. It's messy in the middle, and it's gorgeous at the end. And that becomes one of the book's central truths, is that building great habits is uncomfortable before it becomes transformational. The tip here is that if you're thinking of joining the 5 a.m. Club, start by writing your own morning manifesto, a one-sentence reason you want to rise early, because clarity fuels consistency. And one of my goals of this book, or after reading this book, was to be very, very consistent in terms of how I show up every single day. So that really resonated with me. Chapter 3 goes into the 20-20-20 formula. And this is really the heart of the 5 a.m. routine. Sharma calls it the victory hour from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., broken into 3 20-minute blocks, i.e. the 20-20-20. The first 20 minutes you move. You get your body sweating. Exercise releases dopamine and serotonin, which elevate your mood and improve your focus. So that first 20 minutes is very crucial. And then the next 20 minutes is called reflect. You can journal, you meditate, you pray, whatever your methodology is. This quiet time builds gratitude and clarity. And then the third 20 minutes, the final 20 minutes, is the grow phase, where you read, study, plan your day, feed your mind before the world distracts you. So when I get up at 5, I immediately have everything ready. I start walking. My exercise really is kind of fast walking. I walk throughout my house. I meditate. I pray. I do my devotionals. I reflect on my day. I typically have written my day out the night before I leave my desk every 5 p.m. I write what I'm going to be doing for the next day, so I'm clear on that, and my mind can work on that overnight. And then when I get up, then I'm ready to think about it, and go from there. And then typically I'll also invest in about 20 minutes of reading in whatever book that I'm reading. Sharma reminds us here, sweat more in practice, bleed less in war. I love this. Sweat more in practice, bleed less in war, which means how you train in private determines how you perform in public. So the actionable tip here is to prepare your clothes, prepare your journal, your reading list, do all that the day before, the night before, so that you do not have to think about that when you get up. The fewer decisions you make in the morning, the easier it is to stay consistent. Chapter 4 then moves into the 4 interior empires, he calls it. Sharma expands success beyond money or productivity by introducing these 4 interior empires called mindset, which is all about your beliefs, your heart set, which is your emotional well-being, your health set, your physical energy, and then your soul set, which is your connection to purpose. Your outer world, he says, reflects your inner world. You can't lead effectively if you're running on empty inside. Okay, so the actionable tip here is do a weekly self-check, rating each empire from 1 to 10. So simple Likert scale type of analysis. Which one of those needs your attention this week? And then spend about 10 minutes every day that week fine-tuning that particular empire. And then hopefully by the end of 6 to 8 months, you're cruising at 8 to 10 on all 4 of those empires. And by doing this routine every day, you're never going to dip very far below in any of those. Chapter 5 then moves into the power of solitude. The story takes us to the billionaire's retreat in the island off the eastern coast of Africa called Mauritius, where he shows the artist and entrepreneur the power of quiet mornings. He says solitude is the birthplace of genius. In a world of constant noise, early mornings offer space for creativity and reflection, a time when your mind is uncluttered and calm. The most important thing I've discovered about getting up at 5 o'clock every day. Keep the first hour of your day tech free. No phones, no email. Let your mind wake up before the world barges in. Okay, and so moving on then to chapter 6, he calls it the twin cycles of elite performance. The author then explains the twin cycles, how top performers alternate between intense focus and deliberate rest. Rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity for genius. If you push endlessly without recovery, creativity will collapse. And so the actionable tip there is to block deep recovery time in your calendar. Even just a walk or a quick nap or a quiet lunch alone so that your energy can replenish. And I have to say that there's a book called The Power of Full Engagement. I'm staring at it on my shelf now. It's by Jim Lohr and Tony Schwartz. It said the exact same thing, that most human beings cannot go much longer than an hour without recovery. And so the idea from that book is reflected here. You work for 50 minutes in a very intense way. You rest for 10, and that works really, really well. Chapter 7 then moves into the 10 tactics of lifelong genius. He shares 10 tactics. I'll just mention a few of them here. He calls it the tight bubble of total focus. Eliminate distractions. Protect your attention like you are protecting a gold mine. That is really, it's the subject of a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport, another great book if you're interested, but it's all about eliminating distractions in your life. He talks about another tactic called the 90-90-1 rule. For 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your workday on your single most important goal. 90-90-1. I've tried to do this. This really works when I can stick to it. It's hard to stick to, but it's worth the effort. And then the 60-10 method for other projects that you're working on, not your most important, but work deeply for 60 minutes and then rest for 10. That cycle of intense focus and then rest really, really helps your mind and your body. And then the daily 5 concept is do 5 small, meaningful wins each day And I was at a conference in New Orleans a couple of years ago called the ATD Conference, Association for Talent Development. And there was a speaker there that said to do this every day as well. He called it a gratitude journal, where at the end of your day, you write down the five top things that you feel like you accomplished that day. Really helps to build gratitude into and thankfulness into your life. My favorite line here in this chapter: an addiction to distraction is the death of creative production. So the actionable tip in this chapter: choose one tactic to apply this week, just one, and measure how it changes your focus. Okay, moving on to chapter 8, the habit installation protocol. Here the author gets very practical. He says it takes about 66 days. Not really sure where he got that, but 66 days to install a new habit. And the journey has 3 phases. The destruction phase are the first 22 days. Old patterns fight back. Then, in the next 22 days, installation. It feels messy and awkward as you're trying to install these new practices and habits. And then you get into the integration phase, the final 22 days. The new habit becomes automatic. He reminds us here that consistency beats intensity. Actionable tip: don't quit during the messy middle. Expect that you're going to encounter resistance. It's a sign that you're growing, not to be frustrated by that. All right, just a few more here. Chapter 9, he talks about the legacy of the 5 a.m. club. By the end of the story, the artist and the entrepreneur have transformed themselves. They're focused, they're peaceful, they're creative. Proof that mastering your mornings leads to mastering life. The billionaire leaves them and us as the readers with this timeless message: your days are your life in miniature. As you live your days, so you craft your life. Treat each morning as a microcosm of the life you want to build. Start it with intention, not reaction. So, what's the takeaway from the 5 a.m. club? Success isn't about working more hours. It's about owning the early hours. Each dawn gives you a blank page. What you write in that very first hour determines the story of your day and eventually, as he reminded us, your life. So, back to the start. Join the 5 a.m. club, win your morning, elevate your life. Well, thanks for listening to the Manager Lab. I hope that today's episode has inspired you. Try your own 66-day 5 a.m. challenge and see how it reshapes your mindset, your energy, and your leadership presence. And until next time we meet in the Manager Lab, do good work.